Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast, and today's guest is Rebecca Jane. So at the end of our last podcast, which we just had so much other stuff to talk about, I was like, oh my God, we need to get you back for episode 2. And this is that episode because there's so much other stuff that Rebecca has done and just stuff that we can chew the fat over as well. I also liked how lots of people reached out to me actually after the last podcast and said how like raw and completely confidently honest Rebecca was, which is always makes for the best podcasts. So we're going to get into round 2 today. Hi, Rebecca.
Hiya.
Nice to have you back.
I'm back again.
I mean, for somebody who's so media trained, and you are, 15 years on TV now, like you are very honest. And like that's everybody said that in the last podcast. They were like, wow, she's just like straight. And I love that.
Yeah, because people know when you're not.
Yeah.
But actually, I think that specifically over the last 4 years, I'd say that authenticity has become like my number one value. Like, because there have been so many times when I haven't been. And actually, there's nothing to fear as long as you're authentic and do it with a good heart, then you're kind of fine. So, you know, whatever has gone on in the past is in the past. It's how we move forward, and you can't do that if you're not honest.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Talking about your media career, you've just come from ITV Studios this morning. What were you doing this morning?
People say to me like, oh, what do you do on TV? I'm like, I'm just a gobby cow. And that is literally like what I am.
Professional arguer.
I am all those teachers who like in the debate club at school said, this is never going to get you anywhere. Watch me. It did. So I've just come from Good Morning Britain. I started on ITV 15 years ago now, which that was totting it up in my head last night. I was like, Jesus, it's been a while. I've kind of floated between ITV, Channel 5, GB News, and then a couple of others as well. So yeah, I just, argue about anything. They ring me up like, have you got an opinion on this? I always have an opinion on something. So yeah.
I was going to ask you how that started. Like, how do they go about it?
Yeah, the first TV I ever did was this morning. And then
it's live TV as well. I'd be so scared.
No, it's like
I would be terrified of live TV.
Honestly, it's just like being with a friend in a room, and I don't think there's anybody behind the cameras. So
I'd just be worried about what I said.
No, I don't know. That's never really been a concern. But we did that, and then
what was the first one? What was the first one you did?
Well, it was just an interview about the investigation company,
right.
And then I took some calls from people, and then they just kept on asking me back, and it was like, sure. And then they were like, have you got an opinion on this? And yeah. Have you got an opinion on that? Yeah. As then other programs kind of followed suit the more that they saw me. It kind of just spiraled, really.
I remember once you wore a bit of a revealing dress, and actually it got picked up by the Daily Mail. And
oh, that was ridiculous. The
white dress?
That was stupid. That was so stupid.
Everyone was like, she looks like she's going to a nightclub.
I know. It was a one-shouldered dress that was like that. It's like, it's I've got half a shoulder out. Calm down. And then I did I had a red wrap skirt on as well once, and like my leg was out probably from where it is right now, and that made headlines too. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Who gives a
you can swear on this pod.
See, that's the thing though, is I always still stop myself. I'd
be so scared
you'd be fine.
Of doing live TV. So you've done like this morning, you've done GB News, you've done Good Morning Britain.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd hate to be up against Piers Morgan if I had a different opinion against him.
I like Piers.
I like him as well. I really like him.
The problem with me and Piers is that I'm generally always on the same side as him, so I never get a word in edgeways.
Right, okay.
That's the issue with me and him. So no, I've never had a debate that he has hosted where I've actually been on the side that he's not on. So no, it's like, he's lovely to me.
Yeah.
I go really well with him.
And what about some of the people that you're arguing against, right? Is it like, when the cameras are not rolling, you're all good, like,
Yeah, so this is where you get into the land of being a professional in this industry. You can tell the ones that are not. At the end of the day, the professionals in it who do this as part of their job and their career, we know we can go at each other on screen, we can say whatever we want, but then when the cameras are down, it's done. Like, it's not a personal thing. There have been a couple of people who I've debated with who it's been like their first time, and then they do get really offended. And then like they'll go into the green room and start bitching about me. And that one of them, I walked in, I was like, all right. She was like, honestly, so yeah. And the people who I love doing debates with are the ones where I can really hammer the point home. And I know that I can say whatever I need to say, whatever I want to say, and they are just going to be fine with it. Like, that's a true professional in the industry. But yeah, the other ones I don't have much time for, because it's just, I'm not going to walk on eggshells when I've got a job to do.
No, exactly. And then if you are walking on eggshells, you're never going to get invited back. And then,
funnily enough, those people have probably done like one or two pieces and then you've never seen them again.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
And the other part of it all is that we're never allowed to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Never. Like, even if you think that there might be a meeting of the minds in this, you can't show that.
Well, this is the thing, and I just think, God, what a fucking way to wake up in the morning. You're just seeing two people at polar opposites at the end of the spectrum. And like, let's be honest, it's probably the answer is somewhere in the middle. I mean, this morning you were debating about self-service checkouts. And I'm probably somewhere in the middle. Definitely, I would say there's an argument for them. And I like having both options. There's an option there to go to the lady who'll chat to you and do it and blah, blah, blah. And then if I've got like 3 items, I'll do self-service. Yeah. If I've got more than 5, I'm checking out with a woman.
No, not for me. But that's the thing, like a debate like that is an easy job. Like, that's so easy. It's when you get into the political conversations that it's like,
Speaking of political conversations, we should mention your career as a politician, which is something I never thought I would ever see you do.
No, I know a lot of people were very surprised that day that I chucked out the post, and I was like, hi everyone, I'm now the deputy leader of UKIP.
I know.
They were like, what? The amount of people that rang me up and went, is this a joke? I'm like, no, it's serious.
How did that happen?
Oh, that was ridiculous. So I was headhunted into the role.
Right.
The chairman, obviously, so I've written for newspaper columns as well. And so through my columns and through my TV appearances, they had been watching a lot of what I did. And at the time, Neil Hamilton was the leader. And so I knew him and Christine as well. And they were watching what I was saying and doing. And they said to me, would you consider being our leader? Because Neil had wanted to step down for a long time.
Right.
And I said, no, are you absolutely mad? Like, me, leader, UKIP, what? Like, are UKIP even around? And then they were like, yeah, and like, you really represent everything that we say. I'm like, do I? I looked into it, I was like, oh shit, yeah. A lot of their policies are what sort of went with me. There's a few of them that I was like, I'm not so sure on that one. And I said no to doing the leadership. And they said, well, would you consider being deputy? I was like, I don't really know about that either. So I met with them, attended a conference, met with the board. And in the end, I said, okay, I'll give it a whirl. I'll do, 12 months or so, see how I feel. Why not? It's something different. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't even know what the hell a deputy leader of UKIP would do day to day. Or like, is it just a title? What do you actually have to do? Is it like a job role? Do you get paid? Like, what is it?
There's a bit of both. There's a bit of both involved in all of it. Majority of what I did was about, because there's policy teams and things like that, and there's a whole board to appease, and like there's people, like there's area sort of managers, regional managers, that kind of thing. So the leadership is pretty much leading. So it is just being the spokesperson,
and delivering the policy,
and delivering the policies and getting them sort of what UKIP wanted to say, and that's fine. But again, what I didn't really like when I was in the role is that I had to stick on that side. I couldn't even, if I had personal thoughts about something, I wasn't allowed to say it. Like, I had to stick to what policy was. And a lot of the time, yeah, that was right. But then there were some times that I wanted to say more that I couldn't say. I never said anything that was not authentic, but there was more that I wanted to say of where I wanted to do things a bit differently. So, yeah, there was a lot of that. Obviously, had to attend the board meetings, had to consult on policies and stuff like that. But being brutally honest, I did very little of that. And I tried, I tried to unite centre right, which is where
Reform and UKIP would have made a super party almost.
Yeah, Reform, Reclaim, UKIP, Heritage, and the Patriotics Alliance. Yeah. And English Democrats. So yeah, I mean, tried to. That wasn't very easy. In fact, it was a nightmare.
I can imagine. And I just know that everyone's got such a horrible opinion of UKIP reform. You know, like everybody hates them. They're just thinking it's like some English thuggery.
Yeah.
They've got like British bulldogs tattooed on them.
Yeah.
And they're like this fascist, racist party.
Yeah. And that was one of the first things that I said to the chairman when I met them before I took the position. I went, because I didn't really know a great deal about their backstory. And so I said, where has this racist tag come from? Because if there's one thing that I'm not, it is racist. So where does it come from? Because if you are, then I'm not having any part of this. And he gave me an explanation that essentially a former leader had hired somebody into their personal role after the board had blocked this person becoming deputy. And he'd done it anyway, and the board had tried to reject it. And one thing and another, they then got the leader out because of it. And it was the association to that person, who I'm not going to name. But most people would know who it is. And so they said that's where it came from, but that's not us. That's not what we represent. And it was one of my biggest concerns the whole way through, actually, but especially before. But I had many conversations with a lot of people at the top of the leadership tree to make sure that this wasn't a thing and what I was being told was true. And the things that I was being told, that they weren't like that at all. The board were actually very anti-racism, thank goodness. They threw people out of conferences for members of the public or members who came to conferences. They threw them out for some of the things they said. They blocked a lot of applications if they'd been part of some of these groups. So I was like, okay, all right, fair enough. And I never actually saw one racist thing from them.
I just think it's the people that vote for them. I mean, look at them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a party. A lot of people, young women like yourselves, would almost want to be associated with.
Yeah.
It needs to, in my opinion, they've got a lot to do in terms of PR and branding. And,
UKIP just needs to fold.
Well, yeah, agreed.
They just need to give it up.
Yeah.
Reform have got a better
Reform
image,
are gathering pace. They've got frigging seats in Parliament.
Yeah, I mean,
that just shows, I don't know.
Doing well.
Yeah, I think, well, whatever. I'm not here to talk politics, really. Do you know what I mean? I've got my own opinions on it. And obviously a city like Liverpool, which is like Labour, there's, Christ, you could put a donkey in with a red rosette and it would still win here. But I'm very fluid. Sometimes I agree on the blue side. Sometimes I agree on the green side. Sometimes I agree with Labour, whatever. Yeah. And I can't sit in any one camp because I like agree on that, don't agree on that, agree on that, agree on that. I'm a bit more Lib Dem on that issue. But it's all an amalgamation of issues. Yeah. You can't just go with one of them.
Yeah, and I'm very much like that now. And if there's one thing that I learned when my time in politics is that they are all literally lying arseholes.
Yeah, I would agree.
It doesn't matter. Whatever the party is, every single one of them is lying arseholes. And, that was the only thing that I really tried to make any kind of difference in, was to call that out. And I did. And I definitely threw a Uxbridge by-election by calling out the things that the Labour guy was doing. Because he changed his tune every time somebody, like the people that were voting, they were saying what they wanted. He just changed his whole belief system on a whim to get the vote. It's like, no. And actually, I'll vote for anybody who I think is authentic now. and who I actually think would do a good job. Like in that election, I told people, don't vote for me because A, it's pointless. B, I'm only here to tell you if these lot are telling you the truth.
Yeah.
And actually, it was a Conservative guy who won that one. He's since lost his seat. But he did win, and I was happy that he won, and I backed him to win because actually he was genuinely honest and he stuck by everything he'd been saying for the last 5 years. Whereas somebody who's just swanned in to try and win a seat, no thanks. So
it's a thankless task, isn't it? And this is the thing.
Oh, it was awful.
And politicians are just so scrutinised because I think, God, I mean, nobody in their right mind would want to do that job. Nobody.
No.
So you're only getting these megalomaniacs who want a bit of a, I don't know, an ego rub, a profile, and to start doing the after dinner corporate speaking slots. Because that's the only fucking reason I'd ever become PM. Would I ever do, you know what I mean? And actually the problem is I'd never get in. I would never get in because I stand against anything that the government's pretty much doing in terms of health and wellness. I've said this on this podcast before, but my manifesto, if you want to get the country better, stop creating these like absolute losers in, you know, so basically
stop creating losers.
Or even feeding into it. So it would start in nursery. I would completely change menus in nursery. It would start with health and wellness. How do you stop the NHS from breaking? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to get the country healthier. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to stop virtually all processed foods going to stop. I'm going to invest in British farming, urban farming. I'm going to really bring that back, and it would take a generation to do it. But my God,
it would take more than that.
But the NHS would now not be crippled because it's only crippled through lifestyle choices anyway. So diabetes,
that and mismanagement,
absolutely. Diabetes and obesity are all created through lifestyle choices. And the food system's so bad. So I would really unlock all that, and it would start in nursery, it would start in schools. I would just go hell to leather on that, but I'd never get in.
Yeah,
because I would never get any funding to get in because they're all getting lobbied by fucking big pharma, big food anyway. So how am I'm never getting a seat.
I know. Yeah, you're not. I'm sorry.
No, I know it.
No, you're not. And that's kind of the sad thing, that there's no proper plan to fix any of it. And that was one of the reasons why I ultimately left as well, is because it's so disheartening to constantly be in this world of negativity, feeling like you can't do anything. I went into it thinking, all right, maybe I can make a little bit of a difference. But yeah, I say I didn't do too bad with backlash from the general public. I actually did quite well with that. A lot of people supported a lot of what I said, which was very nice. However, the people behind other parties went out of their way to do numerous things to make up lies about me, to publish lies about me. Like, there's a bloody Wikipedia page out there that's got about 5 things that are just completely false. And I had somebody changing them, and then within minutes, somebody was changing them back. It was absolutely, it was just exhausting. And so I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm just a random bird from Lancashire who's a bit of a gobshite. Like, I want to just sit on telly, chat about nonsense, and like leave everybody to it, because I'm never going to change this. And I know that you need to be in the game to win the game, but you're never going to win. No. And I don't want to play with these idiots.
Well, that's the thing. And you honestly, just
awful.
I just don't know why anyone want to do it. I just don't know.
Well,
and anybody that's actually really credible will get scared from doing it because there's too much scrutiny. The rules they're not fair. Everything is a lie. I mean, even when they're in Parliament, sometimes they're just wasting time doing filibustering. And I was like watching this guy just going to waste his time and waste his question. I was like, this is fucking outrageous.
Honest to God, some of the people who I have seen become MPs and the candidates that get put forward, I'm like, I would not trust you to run a bath.
I know.
They can't use a phone. They can't use an email. Like, you couldn't run anything, let alone be an MP, and yet they get elected. And I'm like, what they're so incompetent. It's scary. No wonder the country's broken.
So what do you think of Farage then? Because he would be like centre right.
Yeah. Ishk. What do I think of Nigel?
Have you met him?
Yeah. Yeah. He, it's a difficult one, really, because I do have a lot of time for Nigel and I do have a lot of respect for Nigel. I don't like the way that Reform is made up and their structure and their organisation, because it's not a democratic party. I don't like that Nigel was Reform for so long and people didn't really know, and then all of a sudden just came out for the general election. And like, I feel like there's still quite a lot of underhanded stuff. On the whole, there's a lot of stuff that he says that I think is right, but then there's about 20% of it where I absolutely, completely disagree. And I'm like, no. There's some stuff where I'm just, even if I support 80% of your stuff, I don't think I can support this 20%. Like, so yeah, I think Nigel's a difficult character for me. I think that he's got the right ideas. Would I want him as a prime minister? No.
No, I don't think I would want him as a prime minister.
I don't think many would.
Unfortunately, he is probably the greatest communicator out of any politician we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
He speaks to the general public. He could go down the pub and talk to somebody about politics.
Yeah, but
that is like so powerful. He is a great orator.
Yeah, that's powerful. But is that the person that you want leading your country, talking to world leaders? No.
Well, no, I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying that's why he gets like the common man's vote.
Yeah, and I think he'll be a great MP.
But I wouldn't want him to be PM.
No. And I actually haven't found anybody that does.
I actually wouldn't pick anybody to be PM at the moment. I can't think of one person I'd want to be PM.
Who actually voted for Keir Starmer because they like Keir Starmer? Nobody.
Well, nobody voted for Corbyn.
No.
Fucking hell. And again, people in Liverpool are like, oh, he's great. I'm like, you're fucking joking. He's way too radical.
Well, I was in the election with his brother, Piers Corbyn. Holy crap.
They're just a bit too far.
Have you seen Piers Corbyn?
No, I've not seen him.
He's absolutely crackers. Oh my God.
They're really eccentric, aren't they?
But he's beyond eccentric. He's beyond. Absolutely beyond. He was the guy, there was a viral clip that went round to him that I thought was actually really good. He went into, I don't know if it was an Aldi or if it was one of the Amazon stores that only accepts card. And he went in and he was like, you're going to take £2.11 of my British pennies for these strawberries and I am leaving with my strawberries. Went viral everywhere. God. And it was actually, I was like, good for you. He's mad as a box of frogs.
Again.
But good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't.
You need to look him up.
I actually didn't mind Rishi, but I mean,
he's a load of shit.
He was. Don't get me wrong. He's fucking as useless as tits on a boar, probably. But I actually, I wouldn't be sat here without Rishi and that bounce back loan. So got to have a bit of admiration for that.
I mean, they're all as bad as each other in different ways.
Exactly. So, listen, Starmer, hope he does the thing. I hope he's a great guy. There's loads of stuff I don't like about him. The Jimmy Savile stuff was under his. True
story.
Yeah.
He's not fixing the country, I can promise you that.
No, useless as well.
Yeah.
But then who is? But what about Angela Rayner? What, have you never met? Have you met her?
No.
I think she will be PM.
Stop it.
She will be though. Loads of people like her.
Oh, good God, no.
I think she will be. I think she'll have him out, no problem. Starmer out. She's already bought the domain name, hasn't she? Rayner 4pm.
Has she?
Yeah.
No,
she bought that well before he got in.
I can't deal. This is what I mean. I just constantly despair over it all. It's so nice now living in my little bubble of not doing any of it.
Yeah, true.
Thanks to my health dramas, I pulled out of a lot of my TV work. Like today's the first time in a long time I've been back. And it's been so, because when you are in that TV world and you're having to debate, you actually have to keep up with the news constantly. And it's awful. Like, it affects me so much. And now, if I have to do something on television and I have to go to a newspaper, I'm like, ugh.
I completely agree with you. I stopped watching the news pretty much just after Grace was born, actually.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to watch the war in Ukraine. I was just seeing like these like this baby's hospital getting bombed and everything. And I can tell you now that all these social media clips of like Israel and Palestine, I just absolutely just don't want to see it. And I'm not trying to bury my head in the sand. I just know it's absolutely heartbreaking. And effectively, what can I do? I'm helpless.
Exactly.
I know what you mean. It's absolutely horrible.
I'm like, give me the Real Housewives of anywhere.
So Mrs. Harris goes to Paris for me, please.
Below
Thank
deck.
you very much.
Like, let me live in my bubble. I love it. I'm so happy. And it's like, I feel like that's been a thing actually over probably the last 2 years of learning to just live in the moment, not just with social media, not just with like newspapers and stuff like that, of just myself. Like if I'm just myself and I'm not interacting with social media and I'm not looking at stuff online and I'm not looking at myself on a screen, I'm really bloody happy. Like it's when I like look at social media, it's when like I look at newspapers, it's when I watch myself back on screen, it makes me unhappy. So I just don't do it. Like just be in the here and now and just be happy.
Yeah, well that's very good. That I think you've taken a long time to get to that place.
No shit.
Yeah. Because I would imagine you're somebody who like watches stuff back and then pulls yourself apart. By the way,
well, that's why.
Full disclosure, I do it every week on a podcast and I go, oh my God, look at me. I hate my face. I hate this. Or when I'm just chatting to the guest and the guest is talking, I've got like a stupid look on my face or like my mouth will be turned down. And then I'm thinking, right, for the next podcast, I'm going to remember to like half smile. And then I'm thinking, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Right. So listen.
Stop watching it.
Right. I think we had a conversation about this many years ago. And you were probably one of the first people who actually got my point wholeheartedly. And I remember, because obviously I've been on all sides of the weight spectrum. Like I've definitely had disordered eating. I wouldn't say an eating disorder. I'd say my eating was disordered. And I've been a size 8, which looked ridiculous, especially with, you know, the fantastic assets my surgeon gave me. So that's looked ridiculous. And then I've probably not been much bigger than what I am now. So this is probably one of my heaviest points in time. But I've said to you that when I was at that point where I looked so unwell and so unhealthy because I was so thin, even then I was still like, but just this inch here and just that bit there. And then and I said like, I'm never actually going to be happy. Never. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter what work I do. I'm never going to be happy. So at some point I've just got to accept that and embrace it. And there was definitely a shift where I started to do that. Now, and this is not new stuff. This is stuff that's been like childhood issues that have gone all the way through my whole life. And now I'm more aware of it. Now I'm like, yeah, I know that I'm not going to be happy. So I'm not going to look. Because if I'm happy right now, just looking at myself in a mirror, that's all that matters. And yeah, if I do watch stuff back, so I really hate it sometimes when people tag me and stuff. And I'm like, I see that.
Yeah,
like somebody did it this morning, and I'm like, oh, I look the worst I've ever looked. I'm going to go back to that face lady. I'm going to see what she can do for like this and this and this. I'm like, just stop.
Yeah,
just stop. Like,
no, I know.
You don't. And my friend said this to me. She's like, I wish you just saw yourself through my eyes, but like you. I wish you actually just saw yourself through my eyes, because I'm like, I just want to be her.
I wish.
Because she's phenomenal.
I
like,
wish.
There's not one little thing about you should change.
Oh, look at I think, oh my God, I need my eyebrows lifting.
No, you don't.
All that my nose doing. I'm heavier on one side, which is why I always sit on this side for the podcast and stuff like that. I'm heavier on that side. But yeah, we pick ourselves apart.
But we know that it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm too shit scared to do anything about it.
Oh, you see, now I do stuff about it.
No,
It's been a long time though.
Yeah.
It has been a long time. Especially with my lips. I've not touched them in about 2 years now. And like sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, I really did go too far, didn't I?
Yeah.
But then there was once, so I hate this part of me.
For anybody just listening, she's pointing to her jaw.
Yeah. So yeah, anybody listening and anybody who sees it, don't tell me about it. But yeah, I hate my jawline. I hate underneath my chin. And so I did the fat dissolving injections under here, and I did Botox in the sides of like in my jawline. And the first time I did it, it was absolutely brilliant. I was like, oh my God, this is how I've always wanted my face to look. It's the best thing I've ever done. Second time I had it done, don't know what happened, but it paralysed my smile.
It hurts like hell.
No, it was fine.
Was it? I mean, I did a live with a surgeon in New York, and he's one of the most expensive surgeons in the world. I mean, you're not getting nothing done for less than £100,000 with him. So
why were you there?
I wasn't. I was doing a live with him about surgery and stuff like that, and we were talking about fat dissolving injections, and he was like, "Waste of fucking time." And
I've actually come to that conclusion.
Yeah, and
Did
also
you help a bit?
threads, waste of time. And actually, I would advocate a facelift way before I would advocate any of those two things.
I am actually, so I've had the PDO threads, I think they are. I've had them here. They were absolutely shit.
Yeah.
Waste of time. Absolutely pointless. The proper threads, the hardcore ones, I'm too scared with them.
Well, even then,
some people
you might as well
just
just get a tiny stitch and then it'd be permanent.
I know, I am strongly considering a facelift.
Well, there you go. You talked literally 10 minutes ago. You just said, "Oh, I'm just going to be happy the way I am," and now you say,
"No, I try, but I do strongly consider a facelift." But I do manage to talk myself out of it every other week.
Well, I do as well. And I was
if you have a facelift, I'll absolutely crucify you. That's ridiculous.
Maybe not yet, but
no.
I went down the rabbit hole the other night, and I was looking at surgeons and stuff like this. Then I came across this guy in Spain. Fucking hell, right? I was like, he's like a BBL, like 360 lipo expert. But with that, he'd put this patient up and he said 360 lipo with BBL and rib molding. I thought, rib molding? What's that? So I click on rib molding, start looking at videos. Oh my God. I thought, this is Frankenstein shit. So what they've done is...
This is what Kim Kardashian's had, isn't it?
Pretty sure she has, right? So after I'd seen this, I thought, this is what they're having done, because how the fuck are they getting that waste?
Yeah, they have a rib taken out.
Right, so I'm watching this guy do it, right? So they go in through the back. But then I thought, I'm looking at her back all the time thinking she hasn't got any scarring. But so anyway, they've gone in through the back and you've got floating ribs at the bottom. They crack them. I'm watching a video of him like going... like this, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, right? And then they like take all the bits of cartilage out, basically suck them all out, and then I mean, what a bloody difference, you know? When you see all these like OnlyFans thirst trap girls, who have got like humongous arses, and they've got like these tiniest waists ever. This is what they're doing.
That's disgusting.
I mean, I thought,
that's too far.
That's a step too far.
That's too far.
That is a step too far.
You've gone too far.
We're talking about things that protect your fucking organs. Like,
I know.
Who are you doing it for?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is some serious... If you feel like you need to do that, that is some serious body dysmorphia issues going on.
The problem is, though, these girls make a lot of money on OnlyFans, don't they? And they're thinking...
Do they, right?
Well, I think some of the big ones do.
I'm not actually convinced on all of this little OnlyFans business, because I had a lot of pals who joined it and they were like, oh my God, yeah, I'm making like 30 grand, 40 grand. And then they left it. It's like, well, if you were making 30, 40 grand, you'd be staying.
Yeah, true.
So I don't actually believe in the hype of people saying that they earn money on OnlyFans. I think it's just their excuse as to why they're on it.
Oh, I think it's nuts. I mean, Lily Allen's just joined, hasn't she? And she's taking pictures of her feet. £8 a month, and you can look at her feet. Yeah. And then, I mean, Kerry Katona, she's like making loads of dough off it. Katie Price is having a stab, even though she's still bankrupt.
Katie Price.
You know what I mean? So there's pressures on to kind of look, you know, I don't know, almost cartoonish for these fetishes.
But none of them look great.
Oh, none of them look great.
Like,
no, I know.
So this is what I mean. It's all a fake nonsense bullshit world.
Oh, tell me about it.
That's why we should just live in our own little one. And like, if I like cleared off and, you know, had a nice little normal job in some other random different country and I went on social media, I wouldn't be even remotely asked about a facelift.
Same.
Like, so why do we think we need it now? I mean, you know.
I honestly sat there last night thinking, you know, I'm living my best years of my life, not looking the very best I could be, because I was looking at my nose the other day and I was thinking, from some angles it looks massive, right? And I think just get that little bend out, very subtle, and it would look better. And then if I'm doing that, then I might as well have my eyes lifted or whatever at the same time. I'm nearly 40 and I'll just look subtly better.
Okay. I'm ridiculous, but you're actually more ridiculous. Like, because this is so unnecessary.
No, I know. Well, listen, I'm too shit scared to do it. So
Good. Fantastic.
So yeah, but the rib molding, fucking hell, honestly, nuts, absolutely nuts.
No, and you know, what's the next stupid craze going to be?
Yeah.
I'm not here for it. I was going to live in my nice little peaceful bubble. I'm 40 this year. So like, I feel like I'm getting to a point of acceptance of where I don't have to look my best.
Yeah.
It's like, just, you know, that whole grow all gracefully.
So I'm 40 next year and I've just turned 39 and yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm 40 next year. So I need to, so this year, 39 to 40, I'm like, I want to look the best I've ever looked on my 40th. So in terms of like weight, muscle tissue, you know, lean mass.
But you do, well, when do you think that you looked your very best in your whole life?
I would say when I came off the island and I was about 8 stone wet through. That's how I want to look, but I can't. I mean, my period stopped. I was so slim, so like that's unhealthy.
This is what I mean. Yeah,
like, and listen, and like I was reading The Economist the other day, and it's only because the headline got me.
Yours and my reading totally different.
It said
The Economist.
that the thinner you are, the more successful you are as a female. So women in C-suites, yeah. So, and I was like, wow, have they put this together? And the mark of success for a woman still today, earning potential is always to like, well, not always to do, but can be correlated with their weight. And I was like, whoa, this is why I was read the headline because I was like, fucking hell, this is a talking point. So, but they said for men, it doesn't really matter about that. But for women in high-powered positions, they get to high-powered positions if they're looking better and slimmer and whatever. And I was like, wow.
I actually think some of the worst times of my life have been when I've been slimmer.
Were we doing well professionally?
Probably not the best.
I'm going to link the Economist article so you can all read it if you want to. Dylan,
I don't want to read it.
If Dylan, if you can pull that up, please, and put it in the show notes because I know I'll forget to put it in the show notes. But yeah, it was...
What a horrible statistic.
It was horrible, but then I thought, this is why women still feel the pressure no matter how... You felt the thinnest you've ever felt and you still weren't thin enough.
No. Yeah.
And I speak to... everybody on our Instagram page, I've never really met one woman who goes, I'm happy with my weight.
No.
Not one.
No.
And then the diet, the exercise, they might go from a size like 14 down to a 10. Apologies for interrupting this podcast, but I need to ask a favour. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, then please hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be straight up and honest that I want to see this podcast grow and flourish into something that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I can do that is with your help. So if you've ever learned anything useful from these conversations, then please return the favour by liking, rating, subscribing, and maybe even sharing it with your friends. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode. And they go, yeah, I just want to get a few more pounds.
Exactly.
It just doesn't matter how thin they get, they still think they're fat. I look at pictures of me 10 years ago.
I know.
When I was like dead unhappy, you know, taking fat burners and just going to the gym all day, and I was dead slim, still thought I was fat. So like...
Oh, yeah. Every single time. I've always thought, I know. Like there's times where I've really been absolutely convinced that I'm so overweight and I'm so ugly and I'm so grotesque. And then I'm like, look back and I'm like, shit, I really wasn't. I was fine.
I know.
Like, and you know.
You never enjoy the way you are.
Understanding your reality of where you are actually now. Because like, you know, however you feel about yourself now, whether you feel good or whether you feel bad, you know, what is the actual truth of it? I think is like a really messed up place to be. And I think it can really send you into a spiral. So try not to think about it.
Do you know what the best antidote is as well? I would say going down to a children's hospital and go and see those kids there who would give, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Whatever. And I think this, when I look at young girls who are so into appearance, I feel like saying, I tell you what, let's go down to Alderhay and you go and have a look at those kids who would kill to have everything that you've got. And I often think this when I'm like, I stop myself, you know, when I'm thinking, oh, I do need this surgery. And then I go, do you know what? Like, get a grip. Like, do not be one of these stupid airheads who are doing these things and just you want to hyperinflate yourself and overinflate yourself and who you're doing it for. You know, get a reality check and look at like, you've got your health, you've got everything. And that is the best antidote. Whenever I go a bit too far in my head, I come back to that.
Yeah, because when I did, I did a PR campaign for Maggie's Cancer Centre in Manchester. And it was part of Maggie's on the Runway. And we had 40 models, maybe more, who'd all had cancer or they'd been affected by it. So like, you know, we had a dad and his little girl who was 4 or 5 at the time, and they'd lost his wife, her mother. She died of cancer. And then there was all sorts of other amazing women there who'd been through cancer multiple times. There was one lady, Wynne, who she'd been through cancer every 2 years for about 16 years, I think it was. It was crazy. So there was some really heartbreaking, awful stories, but they were the most positive, inspiring women that I've ever met in my life, and men. And so obviously did the PR campaign. When it was all over, the organiser took me out for dinner to, you know, obviously to say thank you and all the rest of it. And the waiter came over and she said, "Oh, you're having a glass of champagne, Rebecca?" I was like, "No, I'm on this ridiculous keto diet." And she's like, "Rebecca," she put menu went down. She went, "You've just worked on this job and you've just done all of those stories of all of those women and all of those men and what they've had and what they've dealt with in their life. And if you don't learn now that you need to just drink the bloody champagne, I don't know when you will." I was like, "Oh, fair point. Yep, give me the champagne." And that's always stayed with me as well. Because like you can't mess with health.
No.
Like nothing else matters when everything else goes to shit.
I would counteract that with having that attitude all the time. Eat the fucking cake, eat the champagne.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's what's going to get you in the mess in the first place.
Yeah, but don't, it was, I think the way that I was on that diet was insanity. I remember being on my way into Liverpool actually, because keto diet is really like, you know, high fat, high protein. And you couldn't have milk in your coffee, but you could have cream. So I went everywhere with like cream in my handbag so that I could still have coffee. And I remember it exploded all over my bag as we were going on a night out in Liverpool. And I remember pulling over, like trying to clean up in the car. I'm like, we've gone too far. Like, this is ridiculous. I went hardcore. But that's my all or nothing mindset. And that's more ADHD issues that is just like, I can't just be in the middle. Yeah. Finding moderation is actually a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, you sound like Danny. He's like, like carnivore diet 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in. Yeah, that's it. He'll buy everything, you know what I mean?
Fat-free, dairy-free.
Fucking hell. Yeah. He was going to join the PGA golf tour a couple of weeks ago because he's taking golf that seriously, and then 4 weeks is over and then he's not played again since. And I'm like, here we go. Yeah. We have got like a cupboard under the stairs that's full of his shit.
Is he diagnosed?
No, I don't need to. He 100% has it. Roller skates.
Yep.
He's got scooters. He wanted to freaking get a bow and arrow. I was like, no, we're not having that. Then he wanted to build a putting green in the garden. I was like, no, Grace's Wendy house is going there. And, you know, then, you know, it just gets these mad ideas in his head. And I'm just like, oh,
that's there. That 100%. That is me. In our store cupboard of all of my random ideas of shit, there's been furniture redesign. There's been doll's house redesign.
Yeah.
And so when I was really poorly back in January and for 6 weeks, life just came to an end because I couldn't do anything and I couldn't get stressed. I've been told very specifically, reduce your stress levels. So I would literally sit around making doll's house furniture. It was ridiculous. It's so
That's
funny.
actually quite therapeutic.
And I had a lovely set. I was so happy in my little world of like not dealing with anyone or anything, just making my doll's house furniture, hoping that my issues don't start again for another day. And we had 2 lots of paramedics at the house, and every time we had them, my eldest daughter would be like, "Come and look at it doll's house." It became the in-joke of like all of my crazy little ideas. Anyway, I've not touched the doll's house since. When life went back to normal, the doll's house can stay where it is.
That's like a nice therapeutic little hobby though. Definitely.
Yeah, I've got a drawing one at the minute. I'm doing a lot of like black and white drawing.
Right.
Yeah, I'll move on to something else next week. But
I always get like business ideas in my head. I want to start a non-alcoholic wine company.
Yeah, I've had an idea of something there, yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's loads out there, but that just proves to me there's a market for it.
Yeah, I bought all of it's not a non-alcoholic wine company. It's something else to do with non-alcoholic drinks. I bought all the gear, did about 5 test rounds, got really bored, and now it's just all sat there again.
No, I reckon I could do it. Build it, scale it, get it in every supermarket, done, exit, sell it.
To be fair, I haven't actually...
3 to 4 year plan, done, I'm out. 3 years max.
I haven't actually had a non-alcoholic wine where I'm like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
They'll taste like vinegar.
Well, that would be the challenge. A non-alcoholic rosé or something like that. But yeah, I was really into it yesterday morning. I was like, oh my God, planning the whole design. And then I got busy again.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I've done all the design of my other idea. And then I was like, no, can't be asked.
And the other industry I'd get into is chocolate bars, lean ones. You know, like the skinny whip bars or one of them.
They're not real chocolate bars.
No, they're not. But that's like the women want to eat chocolate, but they want to feel good about it. Like a guilt-free-ish chocolate bar.
Well, that's a lovely idea.
I think that's an industry.
I think it's a great idea, but why is it not being done?
But it has. It's been done loads. You've got fulfill bars. You've got grenade bars. You've got...
They're not real.
They're like protein bars.
Yeah, they're not.
But the skinny ones are like, 77 calories, something like that. And I always think if I was to ever, if anybody said, go on, you're not a one-trick pony, prove you're not a one-trick pony, go and dominate another industry. Not that I've dominated this one, but, I'm well on the way to doing it. So I feel like I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, you want basically a Cadbury's or a Galaxy bar with no calories or very little calories.
Yeah.
That's what you want. It has to taste the same,
or
look the
it's
same.
got health properties as well. If you can max it out, like pound for pound, like max it out with like some like amazing nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah, Elle-Sera in a bar.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
By the time we're done, we'll have it.
I'll have nailed it.
You need to make it into chocolate form.
Yeah, for sure.
The daily chocolate that people
Adaptogenic
have.
chocolate.
There we go.
Well, people have made
really
adaptogenic coffee and that tastes like shite. So.
Yeah. There is no reason why you couldn't put your ingredients in the pills that you have every day into some kind of a chocolate bar.
Wow, what an idea.
Bedtime, it'd be like that, because it's like your branding and everything and all like the beds and stuff and everything. It's like it's the new kind of chocolate on your pillow at night.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Ta-da!
I love this. Okay,
done.
Let's get to
That's
work
a couple
on
of million.
Yeah. Okay. So we've touched on it slightly. So you have had a lot of health issues this year. Talk to us about this.
It's been so much fun.
I know.
So it started when I was 18, but it's resurfaced a lot over the years. Basically, when I was 18 overnight, I moved into a new apartment and I was in the bathroom and collapsed in pain because my stomach had gone really big and I collapsed and it was awful. It was just horrific. And then that kept on happening probably about once a week for about the next 6 months. Sometimes I'd end up in hospital, sometimes I wouldn't.
Sounds like endo.
Well, it was. But we didn't know anything about that at the time. And nobody had any clue or anything about what this was. It was an absolute mystery to all of the doctors. They were sticking cameras down my throat, up my backside, like scans, everything. They were like, IBS.
Really?
I was like, this isn't...
Were you like bleeding heavy at the time or anything? Do you have any other symptoms of it?
I always had heavy periods,
Right.
but I wouldn't have put that together. Nobody ever was asking me those kind of questions. They were asking me about what foods I was eating. They put me on a fat-free diet. They put me on a gluten-free diet. They put me on a everything-free diet. None of it made any difference. And all of a sudden, it kind of just went away for a bit. And then when I got pregnant, it properly went away for 3 years. And that was it. And then it turned up again. And then not to quite the same gravity. And I learned to control the pain because they'd have me on like morphine. They'd have me on everything. Nothing would touch it. So, and they'd give me morphine at home. That wouldn't do any that wouldn't help. It was just a case of grin and bear it until you pass out. And an ambulance turns up and gives me gas and air, which was the only thing that did actually help. And then whacking doses of morphine through a drip. But then every time they'd just basically go, we don't know what to do with you. Off you go. And then it went on for years and years. So then I had my second daughter. It went away again. It came back when she was about 2 years old. However, when I had her, it was not an easy birth. So I ended up with an emergency C-section. And I lost 60% of my blood, which fatal is about 40%. But in all of the rush of the C-section and how bad it was, they damaged some of my organs. So like they damaged my kidneys, my bladder. I think there was something else as well, but it's all a little bit fuzzy. And And so that's actually had an effect. I'll come on to that in a second. So then it came back again. And again, we went through the same patterns of let's stick more cameras down me and all the rest of it. And they found a hiatus hernia, which is a hernia that's like here, that acid kind of comes up and goes. They found that my stomach was eroding through acid. So my stomach would bleed inside. And then they found that was the same throughout my esophagus as well. So they just chalked it up to that and left it. So anyway, so it's kind of gone on and off. And then in January this year, I'd always have this pain, by the way. And then it'd go and it'd come back maybe a few weeks later. And then it'd go on for about 6 months and it'd miraculously go away for a while. But in January when it came, it happened one day. And it was horrific. And I did end up in hospital because I passed out that time. Ended up in hospital and I'm trying to remember what happened after that. I don't think I got seen. I think they kept me waiting for like 15, 16 hours. And by that point, it had gone. And because I've been through this so many times over the years, I was like, I couldn't give a shit. Like, you're not going to do anything. I'm just going to go. It won't come back again for a little while. It came back the next day and then the next day and then the next day. And I never had that before. I was like, holy shit, like life ended. Every time, it didn't matter what I ate. Every time I ate anything, it started within an hour and a half. And it went on for 6, 8, 9 hours. It was like the extreme version of everything I'd ever had. Then I ended up in hospital again. There was 3 times I ended up in hospital. But one of them, it was a few days previous where I'd been reading this article in the Daily Mail about a woman with endo. And she was saying about how she had all the same symptoms as I did. Stomach bloats up hugely. Food would trigger it, but there was no pattern in food. Like, there was nothing. Heavy periods, yes. There was like the mental fog and everything else, the lack of energy. I was so exhausted. I couldn't actually sit up in bed. I had to lie down. It was ridiculous. So anyway, so I'm in A&E and this doctor's like, I don't really know. I'm like, oh, again, shock. I went, look at this article. I went, this woman's got everything that I'm saying and she's got endo. And he's like, oh yeah, it might be a bad idea, that. I'm like, Christ's sakes. He said, all right, I'll refer you to an emergency gyno clinic. And that about 3 days later. He said, but I'll also arrange for an ultrasound of internally. And then that was it. He sent me on my way. So I went to see this woman in the gyno clinic, thinking she was a gyno doctor. She wasn't. And I saw her and she's like, oh, no, this is not endo. No, absolutely not. And she said, this is a bowel thing. I think it might be suspected bowel cancer. I was like,
I mean, fucking hell, that must have been unbelievable news to hear.
Well, I didn't believe it.
No.
I mean, I didn't believe it, but then when I'm like sat in the hairdressers and she's washing my hair, all of a sudden I have a bit of a, oh shit, what if it is?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh dear.
Imagine even just saying the words to
I really
you.
didn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah, so she arranged for, I don't know, where it's CT, MRI, I forget which one, but she was absolutely convinced, nothing to do with endo. And then I went for the ultrasound that the other doctor had organised me to have. And it showed I had adenomyosis, which you can usually not detect it unless it's really bad on an ultrasound. He's like, oh yeah, you have got that. So yeah.
What's adenomyosis?
Similar to endo. So endo is where scar tissue. So this is where the issue with my daughter's C-section came in. So when you have traumatic surgery down there and things don't go quite as planned, it can cause endo scar tissue to go onto other organs. So that's why they think it's now got so bad, is because it's spread elsewhere. But adenomyosis is where the lining of your uterus is basically eating into the muscle wall. So you're shedding your muscle wall as well as everything else that's in there when you're having a period. Never heard of it before. I was like, well, this is brand new. Lovely. So anyway, what
causes it? Because I'm hearing
so hormones.
Yeah, so many people have got endo now, but I'm like,
yeah. So the treatment that I'm now on and the way that they're now treating it. So I spoke to, when I went to the gyno woman who wasn't a gyno woman, I'd bumped into a girl who I'd went to school with who's now the sister of that ward. And I said to her, I was like, that woman told me I absolutely did not have it. And yet I've just got my ultrasound results showing that I've got adeno. She went, yeah, she went a gyno doctor. I was like, what the hell was she? She was just a junior doctor. She's like, you need to see this guy. So I went to see Dr. Assi, who is one of the leading gyno consultants in the Northwest. And he saw me and he was like, of course it's bloody endometriosis. Like, why have you not been to us before? I'm like, I don't know. Ask your medical professionals. Like, I have no idea. He's like, it's blatant. And he said that, he actually said, because he said, have you had any surgery like on your uterus or your womb and stuff? And I was like, yeah, there was Peach's birth. And I told him and he went, oh, I heard about you at the time. I was like, huh? He went, yeah. He said, yeah, that will have had a big effect on why it's now how it is. So what they're now doing is, essentially I've got to have a hysterectomy if I want it to get better. But the question is, do we take my ovaries out or not? And so they've got me on Zoladex, which you'd be like, no.
Kelly's had Zoladex. She tells me all about it.
Yeah. So it's
only not for long though. She was only on it for a couple of months, I think.
Yeah. So you can only have it up to a maximum of 6 months. So I'm on month 2. So they do that to turn your ovaries off, which stops your hormones
creating.
Yeah, because
the endo.
Yeah, that creates the endo. And this is why I can't have HRT or anything, because we'll be replacing those hormones that have caused the issues. So that's why you've got to do it completely cold turkey, which I'll say more about in a second, how I'm actually dealing with this shit. But no, so now we are in month 2. They turn my ovaries off. They're doing it for a maximum of 6 months to see how I cope in menopause. It's wild that like, and the best bit is my consultants were like, oh yeah, it's just an injection. Just a little injection. It'll turn your ovaries off, no problems. I get there. It's same. I actually chose to have Sarah do it, who was the sister of the ward, who obviously I went to school with. And I went, she went, have they told you what this is about? I'm like, yeah, it's an injection. She's like, I hate it when they tell people this. Yes, it's an injection, but she said, it's an injection that's putting an implant into your stomach. I was like, huh? And the implant's like this big.
Right.
Through an injection. I don't know how they do it because I can't watch it when they do it. But it's not.
Do you have to go back for it like regularly?
Yeah, every month.
Every month.
I have to have it done every month. The first time the hospital do it, and then you go back to your GP. So month 1, day 1, the first day I didn't feel anything. The next day I was like, oh shit, something's happening. Like,
how does it feel?
Well, that first day felt like an out-of-body experience, like something's just really wrong, but I can't tell you what. The brain fog was overwhelming. Like, I was looking at my colleagues across the room thinking, I don't know your name. Like,
fucking scary.
I don't know what day this is. I don't know what time it is. It was so bizarre. Not had that since, but of course, you have your ovaries turned off. You go into menopause literally that day. Of course, the first day, your body's going to be like, what are we doing here?
The thing is, right, I'm going to argue that you should keep your ovaries, by the way. Because they do a lot more than just produce sex hormones. Like the effect on the brain, the effect on every other hormone in your body. Like everything, every system in your body, like everything.
Yeah. Well, what I will say about that, so obviously now they're turned off. So now they're not working. My mental state has not been this good in a very, very long time. So it has actually helped. I don't have the brain fog, not any more than what I usually do. But before they did all of that, anxiety and depression I'd gone back on antidepressants, and I'm anti-antidepressants.
Well, yeah, no, I completely agree. So if you've got too much estrogen, then I've always said this. I'm like, why are people not like on board a bit more with testosterone? Because if you have really high estrogen, you like crumble, you cry more, you become more anxious, more depressed. Whereas, and this is why I always say, if you're going to have a challenging like conversation in work or anything, always do it like 2 weeks before your period. That's when your testosterone's the highest. That's when you'll do your best performance in the gym. If you need to have a hard conversation, go and have it at that point because you're more up for it. Your mental clarity will be better. Your energy will be better. But when your estrogen's dominant, you just want to cry, you'll crumble, you're more teary. Never have the bad conversations at that point. And if you are, and this is why you should always track your cycle to people who have just got like normal periods. But if you're somebody with estrogen dominance, i.e. PCOS or endo or whatever, you're going to be always in that mental state of, I don't know what's wrong with me. I need to go on antidepressants. And it was
Yeah.
never, you were never deficient in sertraline or citalopram or whatever it's going to give you. It's actually just it's a hormonal imbalance somewhere.
Yeah, and of course it makes perfect sense of all of the mental health problems that I've had over all of the years, you know, and I've got this condition that's kind of coming from my hormones. Of course it all makes bloody sense. Like, my hormones are screwed, but this has been the first time that anybody has ever even
investigated, and you've now, the penny's dropped.
And I'm like, my mum actually always used to say, she's like, I've always told you it's your hormones. Great, cheers, Maria. But
yeah, it's not that your chemical neurons are not firing in your brain. Well, yeah, that might be the case, but the causation of that is probably a hormonal imbalance further down the line, and they're not connecting the dots. So they just go, there you go, there's some antidepressants, you'll feel a bit better.
And I'm so against antidepressants. Not for everybody, but for me. Like, because...
Or a nutritional deficiency.
Yeah. And to be fair, folic acid, if I'm deficient in that, my spine flares up rotten. Took years to understand that bit as well. It's like the really little subtle differences.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever tested anything to do with my hormones, ever, with all of my issues.
Yeah.
And it's like, now it makes perfect sense. So now we're in month 2, well and truly in menopause. Well and truly, I will say, Elle-Sera does help.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
You're not the first to say that.
You're welcome. But it's like, because I've literally, a lot of people think they might be menopause or they might be a bit confused about if they are or not. We know from, like, I was literally the day that I went into it. So I can tell you that it actually works. Like, because there's no doubts with what is with me and how it works for me. So if I don't take it, I'll be having about 40 hot flashes a day, which it's not just being a bit warm. It is like you burn up, you feel physically unwell. It's like you're spiking a temperature 40 times a day. But with Elle-Sera, probably today I've only had one mild one.
Right.
And by the end of it, I expect there'll probably be about 2 or 3 today.
Yeah.
So I can actually literally tell you what it does.
Yeah.
That's
a big one, actually. We come back with, really helps with the night sweats, and that's the maca in there, by the way, that really helps that, because apparently it's to do with your serotonin levels, I think, and that it can trigger a hot flash or a hot flush, and your HPA axis, your hypothalamus. So maca can really help regulate that.
Well, I'm taking it and I know it's working.
Yeah. And essentially that's all people want to know. Yeah, exactly.
Does
What's
it
going to
work
help?
and how does it work?
Yeah.
But, you know, right now I think that the benefits of it are well and truly outweighing what I've had before.
Yeah.
It's not easy. This is not fun. Like last week when I was in Paris, Jesus Christ, that was awful. It was really bad, but also I was too scared to take Elle-Sera on the plane.
I should always, I'd take it in my hand luggage and everything.
Yeah, no, I was too scared to, so I don't think that helped me either. But right now, if I had to make the decision on surgery tomorrow, I probably would say take it all out.
Right.
But I want to do the full 6 months to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I do still think there's an argument for keeping my ovaries, but taking my womb.
I would listen to, oh God, Dylan, fact check this. She's called Lisa, Dr. Lisa Mosconi, Mosconi, I think. She is there she is. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Okay. Look at some of her work. Just look at her TED Talk.
Okay.
So her thing is all about the menopause brain.
All right.
And she's the only person that's investigated this to the level that she has, all to do with your ovaries. Do not think your ovaries just doing one job, but have a look at that, because she makes a big argument, and she'll give you this facts, right? So then you can make your own informed decision on ovaries or not. And she's the world leader. That is a great book for anybody listening. It's called The Menopause Brain by Lisa Mosconi, and she's incredible. Just you can just watch her YouTube clips or TED Talk as well. But that's an incredible book, and she's the only woman out there that's really looking into a female's brain, because women are not small men. So they used to test like all medication and everything
I know.
on men, and then just like change the dosage because like believing they were small men, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely not the case. You've got to actually do the research on women, and she's the one doing it.
Well, they only used to test for conditions and disorders on men as well.
I know.
That's why so many women went completely undiagnosed with ADHD, because
Yeah.
they never tested women.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But education has probably been the biggest thing that saved me. If I hadn't read that article, we wouldn't be here now.
Well, exactly.
Like, you have to, in today's day and age, with doctors the way they are, you have to go with them with an idea of what you actually think might be wrong for them to help you to get the answers to it. You can't just turn up and go, oh, I've got this and I've got that. We're not in that day and age anymore. Like, you actually have to take responsibility for your own health and educate yourself as to all of it, because there's so many people who are just misdiagnosing and doing so much wrong.
You're not wrong, and I'm a big believer in look after your own health.
Yeah.
Like, it starts with
mentally
you.
and physically.
Yeah, it really starts with you. Do not be relying on the NHS to do anything for you. You know, it's just, you do what you can do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, eat healthily. We all know that, what pretty much that looks like. And it doesn't come in a packet with a shitload of ingredients on the back.
No.
I'm about to make a stew tonight.
I'm not making a stew tonight.
But yeah, and the problem is, I truly believe, and I've said this on this podcast before, and call me an anti-feminist even though I'm fucking not, right? When the women came out of the home, what happened? Obesity levels went through the roof because no one was cooking from scratch, because now muggins over here, women still have to go to work, still have to earn a crust, and still have to do the cooking, cleaning, everything. So now she's going for convenience, not her fault. It's just the system. It's just the way life's been set up.
You might have a point there.
No, I would say 100%. The strong correlation between the 70s, where 80s career girls, bang, what happens? Obesity levels go through the roof.
Yeah, we also did start putting a lot more like shit stuff into food.
Of course, plastic, everything becomes green. So now it's called manufacturing, and that is not food production.
No,
it's
that's
manufacturing.
true.
And you're letting corporations cook for you, which are full of additives, full of preservatives.
Yeah.
They put weight on you. They get food to a bliss point because they don't want it to taste like shit, because they want you to rebuy it. So it's full of sugar. And now when you've tasted an actual tomato instead of a can of tin tomatoes, which has got like 40% sugar in, you don't like it. I could rant about this all day. And this is why my manifesto would start with, we're going to start with nurseries, and we're going to teach the children
how to cook.
Yeah. Well, if you look at Japanese nurseries and you look at how the children eat, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, do you know, there is, when I almost ended up on Celebrity X on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
2020, it got cancelled, but also took a job offer to stay and didn't end up going. However, it came down to like the 3 weeks before I was going that we then decided I wasn't going. And I only had about 3 months notice for it. And I was like, oh shit, I've got to be on camera in a bikini.
I know.
So that was one time where I did get a trainer and I went hardcore again. And actually that was probably the best time of where he had a really simple mentality. You just eat protein, fish, meat. You have salad, veg with it. You don't put anything on it except for herbs and spices. You drink water, green tea, anything that's clear, fine. You stay away from alcohol. Like, it's actually just a clean way of eating without any processing, without any additives, everything organic. And do you know what? It frigging worked.
Of course it
does. Worked so well.
Yeah. I tried.
This is the problem, is the mindset.
No, I can do that. I live my life like that, to be honest. There's only, and listen, I'm not an angel 100% of the time, but I would say 95% of the time. Like, it's so ingrained in me to do that. Like, it's like beyond, like, I couldn't even eat another way now. And if I really want to drop weight, fish and greens.
Yeah, you're right.
Fish and greens. And I can drop.
You are, yeah,
I can drop a kilo a week doing that.
Well, in January, when I basically couldn't eat, the only two things I actually could just about stomach was chicken and salmon. That was it. And I couldn't have anything on it. And that was the only two things I could eat. And within 3 weeks, I lost 2 stone.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, I watched Mano from the island when we were on the island. He dropped 4 stone in 5 weeks. And what did he do? And he had more energy now than anyone. I was like, I was dying, but he kept going and he was great. And
I do feel a lot better when I eat less.
And well, we had no processing, no processed food. We had coconuts and stuff like that. And I think everyone kind of had a coconut a day. So you're on 800 calories a day or something like that.
Is 800 calories in the coconut?
Coconut.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But it's like you could live off coconuts for years.
So like,
because you can drink it and it's full of electrolytes, and you can eat the meat, which is full of like fats and calories. Really good.
But like, so coconut milk in curries, is that a shitload of calories?
It's calories, but it's good fats. So you're all right, because you actually need.
Because I like those.
You need fat. So your brain is fat. You know, you need that.
No, I know.
So fatty, oily fish is great.
Yeah. When I do a keto diet, I feel great.
Yeah.
Like, I actually genuinely do feel great.
If you've got ADHD, I would suggest you do keto all the time.
I know, Alyssa, but I like my pizza.
Oh, I know. We all like pizza. But we had a guy called Ali Houston who is absolutely like transformed his health. He's got ADHD.
Yeah, keto is the best.
Yeah. And he's like a complete ADHD keto warrior.
But my problem is when I switch that mindset on, I become so obsessed with it. I don't want to. I want to do it like.
It's not called obsession. It's called your new lifestyle, and that's it. Because I'm not obsessed at all. That's the way I live my life. That's not an obsession. I'm telling you that everybody else is disordered eating, and I've actually got it the right way. I'll be honest. And people think I've got the fucking disorder, and I'm like, are you mad? Are you mad? What? Because I'm not. I'm not eating the shit that you're eating.
Do you let Grace have McDonald's?
No.
Oh, Alicia.
She's never had one.
Oh.
It does my head in when people go, oh, they're having a Mackies for a treat. I'm like, no. What do you mean? It's not a treat. It's not a treat.
Oh.
Don't get them involved in that.
But I love I know they're terrible, but I really like the chicken nuggets.
No, I know. But I'd have to have a serious hangover. Genuinely, if I had a serious hangover, then that'd be my go-to. But that's very.
Do you let her eat pizza?
She's had pizza. Yeah, she's had it, but it's not regular occurrence. Fucking that girl, right? I'm not joking. Even like our child mind is like, God, Grace, you're spoiled. Because I came home the other night with 2 fillet steaks, one for me, one for her. She loves fillet steaks.
Yeah, my kids.
And I'm like, well, why can't she have it then? If I can afford to buy it,
no, she can. No, she can.
So then I give it to her.
It. I'm exactly the same. My kids love steak. It's ridiculous. Like they're never have
cost me a frigging fortune.
I know.
If she eats it, I don't mind. She has sushi. This morning she had Greek yogurt and berries with, by the way, I snipped a omega-3 tablet, like capsule, poured it in and put that in there as well. And she's got a liposomal multivitamin that she loves. So I'm really hot on her.
I can imagine.
By the way, all she wants is chips. All she wants is chips. So I can do as much as I can do. And she still wants shit to eat. So
does Danny buy into your way of feeding her?
No.
So Danny is secretly sneaking her McDonald's?
He doesn't sneak or anything like that. But, she's a big girl. And I'm like, do not let her compound in the wrong direction. She needs to be taught that that's not food. That isn't food, let's be honest. That's not the way you live. I'm getting her a vegetable patch and everything.
Oh,
I'm doing my absolute best here. Oh. So, I don't want, and she loves shit beige food, I'll be honest. She loves crackers and Baby Bell and all the stuff I hate that people just want to go, oh, she's had a cheese sandwich. I'm like, right, okay. So when I'm cooking tea, then I'm like on top of it. You know what I mean? Ice cream. She's had like one ice cream in her life.
I'm not into
she
ice
loves
cream.
It, and it pains me. It kills me.
Bless her.
I know.
Well, I'm going to try and get back to a bit more clean eating. I already decided that before today because I've just come back from Paris and the amount we ate there was just stupid.
Puts me off going to Disney World because I just think, look at the shit food I'd have to eat.
Oh, the food shit. Yeah, the food shit at Disney.
What can you get?
We went to the steakhouse one night. That was okay, but like it wasn't phenomenal. Like it's average.
Yeah.
But then the rest of it, to be fair, we try and not really eat that much in the parks. Try and do like just the odd snack because the food's so crap. It's just burgers, hot dogs
and chips, and it's vile.
I mean, it's fine like once, but it's so boring.
I go to play centres and it's crap.
Yeah,
I went to one the other week that was an amazing play centre. I was like, wow, blown away with it. Amazing, really like earthy and, on a big farm and everything. And the only thing on offer was either burger and chips or a pizza.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, it's actual disgrace.
Yeah,
and I felt like writing them a TripAdvisor saying, I've had a brilliant time today, but I was very disappointed with the menu.
Keyboard warriors out.
I know, but It's constructive criticism.
But it's like, what do they
This is
do
like-
for the masses? Because kids are so bloody fussy.
Why are they fussy?
Well, I don't know,
Because there's
'cause-
nothing else on offer apart from chicken nuggets and shit. And actually, again, I go back to these Japanese children who've known nothing but like real food, bok choy and greens and fish and whatever. They are the product of their environment.
Yeah, I mean, my eldest is very fussy. She's 18. She's really fussy. She's just purely a beige diet. She's ridiculous. But the youngest, oh God, no, she's like a little culinary expert.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, she is.
Bet she's
obsessed.
good company. You go to a nice lunch.
She's like, Mama wants snails. Okay, fine. Like she will try anything, and she loves pretty much everything. She's not keen on hot cheese.
Right. Fair. Well,
Cold cheese, fine. Hot cheese, no.
Unless it's
That's
like
it.
goat's cheese or feta. I'm not keen on it either.
No, I love goat's cheese, but yeah, certain types of cheeses dairy can really upset me. Like that, dairy's not good for me whatsoever.
No, again, it's full of sugar. Milk is full of
It's
sugar.
horrible. It's awful.
And it's for baby cows. So, like,
for the
let's
baby
leave it for the baby
cows.
cows, shall we? Because look at the size of them.
Yeah, no, I really like oat milk actually. That's like
Yeah.
my favourite thing. But no, so yeah, diet is definitely a constant forefront of my mind.
Well,
Let's
and
do that.
I think you can, like, again, in terms of mental health, you can really radically improve it by changing your diet.
Yeah,
habits.
we did. When I was there, the owner did buy a food business, and the idea was to turn it into like a meal prep business that specifically wasn't about fitness and health. It was just about what will make your mental health better
That's
in terms
a good
of food.
idea.
Well, go on, do it.
I'm not doing. I haven't
Go
got
on, rip
time
his
to do
idea
it.
off.
You do it.
I can't be
I haven't got
arsed.
the time to do it.
I could not be
I know if
arsed.
I did have the time to do it, I would absolutely nail it. I would have because I don't think, this would be my idea. I wouldn't be like sat there. I would make all the recipes and then I would outsource to a factory that could make it all, then stock. I don't know. I'd call it like Happy Mind or something like that.
Yeah. Wait, if I don't have 100% passion, I can't do it. Like, and I don't have 100% passion. I didn't give a shit when he bought it.
No. Well,
That went with everything else. Or if you need to know a refresher on that, you have to go back an episode.
Go back to episode 1. Right, I think that's pretty much where we're going to wrap up today.
Yeah.
But I've appreciated you coming back and chewing the fat with me. And I feel like today's chat has been less about an interview style. It's been more like Joe Rogan, where we're backing and forth and ranting and like trying to put the world to rights. You know what I mean?
we've got like 2 business ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. We maybe 4 actually, if you want to go into the whole clean eating business.
Yeah.
And then, we've dealt with body dysmorphia, diets, health,
Mental health, politics.
politics. Oh yeah, that bit. Like, yeah.
Menopause.
Endometriosis.
Endo.
It's quite a bit going on there. I don't know what you're going to do with this. Good
Your
luck to anybody
Your
editing it.
TV career. But
Oh,
no,
yeah, that.
it's been a good chat. I really enjoyed it. I've got a
Yeah.
lot off my chest today. I feel like people don't really get to know me on these podcasts, but when I do things like this with the people that I know,
you
then I
did.
can really give me opinion.
Yeah, but the chocolate, the Elle-Sera chocolate,
I think that's a great idea.
I think you've got to do it.
I want to do it.
Okay, good. Carry on
I
then.
know. I genuinely, I've sat there and looked at this loads of times and I think, okay, look what's on the market and stuff like that. And I think, yeah,
Do it.
I feel like doing it. That would be the next industry. I need an MD to come and run the company and then I can.
I'm here. I'll do it.
I need like a bit more help in the back end, I think.
I know, it's exhausting.
Yeah, because
I know.
I shouldn't be working in the business because I should be working on the business and pushing it.
Correct.
You know,
Operation, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I need somebody in the back end because I've built and scaled. I want someone better than me to come in and scale more. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how I was with the investigation company. It was like, I've done so much, somebody else needs to come and take it further than me. I could have stayed, but I didn't want to stay. But somebody else could take it further.
Oh, I want to stay. I'll definitely still. I'm still at the pinnacle, the top.
Yeah.
You know what
How
I mean?
many years have you been in it now?
This year or before.
Yeah. So
But I want somebody. I need someone to come in that support in a
Yeah.
supporting role in a big supporting role that can take us from where we are now up to that next level, because I've primed it really well. We've got a really good in shape business, but now it's going to take more somebody with experience in operations and just give me a day off. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not, because I want to do my chocolate bar, obviously. I just want to enjoy it.
You're going to do the chocolate bar now?
Yeah,
the chocolate bar with the drinks.
Yeah.
Off you pop. You got a lot of work to do after this.
I know, imagine.
This wasn't just cathartic.
Kelly will be like, what the fuck when she listens to this?
Rebecca's not coming on again.
Don't even think about it. You're too stressed out as it is. You don't get back to any emails as it is.
That's why Kelly's there.
I know. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed the chat today.
I know, yeah. Fun and games as always.
And I'll see you soon.
Bye.